Oh, son of a gun.
And we're back.
We're back, baby. How'd you like that?
We are going to now feature lots from the Dr. Z collection of toys, folk art, and still banks. This beautiful catalog right here, if you have not seen it, there are over 500 lots and a lot of variety in this section of the sale this weekend. Some items are here that we've never auctioned before. So very exciting.
Another great collection. Greg and I go way back. He was one of the first guys I met when I was a kid. We've sort of collected our whole lives together. We enjoy the pursuit. Greg in particular, he loved American toys. He loved American cast iron. Really built one of the best collections in the world. Never really sold anything. So again, fresh opportunity to buy stuff that you could have never bought before. So we have, this is a tremendous example, and we're going to start right off.
We're starting. We're getting
moving.
moving.
Go. Let's go.
This is our cover lot. It is absolutely in mint, pristine condition.
Beautiful,
It's lot
bank.
884. It is the Battleship Maine, made by J&E Stevens, circa 1900. And it also, we do not have it depicted here because it is in safekeeping, but it also comes with its original flag, which is extremely rare.
We show it on the cover of the catalog. But you know, the Great White Fleet was sort of a PR propaganda ploy. They painted a number of our ships white, and they basically sailed them around the world to show the other countries of the world how powerful and great America is. They named them after a lot of our states. So I should have looked it up, but I think there's 9 of them in total. Maine, Iowa, Nebraska, Massachusetts. I believe there's a Pennsylvania. But they made a number of series of them. I will say this is the best example I've ever seen of it. Just absolutely mint. I mean, you can't get it any better.
No, it's beautiful.
One of the real highlights of Greg's collection, especially his still banks.
Yeah, so the Battleship Maine cover lot 884.
884.
Next.
Well, we'll bring that back here. Sort of interesting on this, this is actually the trap of the bank here. And by moving this light on the bank, you can that's actually the combination. So right at the back here, you can turn that, and then this whole apparatus comes off. And that's how you get the money out of the bank. Underneath, it has a tin base. So this, why we're showing is just, they don't get any better than this. I don't care who's your collection or where it came from. This is as clean gets.
It is. Beautiful, beautiful. Next, we are moving on to a George Orr bank.
Okay, well, you know, Greg sort of had interesting, maybe peculiar taste in a lot of things. This is a George Orr. Now, George Orr was a potter from Biloxi, Mississippi. We call that an apple-shaped satchel.
Yes.
He was also referred to as the Mad Potter. Sort of very abstract shapes. Actually, Sotheby's just auctioned off a collection of his pottery. Generally, it was glazed and fired. This is an unglazed piece. It's actually stamped underneath George Orr. Under here, I believe, Biloxi, Mississippi. He did make some banks. You know, again, this was probably for the tourist trade, but he did sell quite a few of these. Very, very rare, fairly desirable. They referred to him as a Mad Potter. You know why?
No.
Well, generally, you find this with both sort of lamps, hatters, guys that would make hats and things. They worked with a lot of caustic materials. Mm-hmm. Potters in general, there were a lot of lead in their glazes that they would use, and it would make them go a little bit crazy. And you know, that was just part of an occupational hazard of the time. That's just sort of what happened. So he's known as the Mad Hatter. Mad Hatter of Biloxi, Mississippi. But we have, I think, 3 or 4 of his banks. Very interesting.
We do. So this one is lot 233, and as we stated, it is the apple-shaped satchel, circa 1890. So very, very nice George Orr bank.
Exactly.
Next, lot 293. Now, this has been a very popular lot in the sale. It is a George W. Childs cigar cutter and lighter. And when I mentioned that there are some things in the sale that we don't typically have for auction, this is one of them. It's fairly large, that's why I'm holding it back pretty far. The top of it here is made of glass, and it's just really, really, really neat. Ray will show you a little bit here of where you would cut the cigar.
Well, Greg, he collected Tobacco Annie, which is sort of anything related to cigars or tobacco. Very popular collectible. This is actually a cigar cutter and lighter. So show them on the back here, Bree. There's a big clockwork mechanism.
Yeah. So there's a clockwork mechanism there. You can kind of
This would
see.
like be on the like this would be on a bar. You would walk in, you buy a cigar, you have your own cigar. Right up here is the cutting mechanism. So if you wind it and you put your cigar right on this little hole, it'll give you a perfect trim. So it cut off the bottom of it. This would be lit, oil lamp up here, and then these over here would actually be your cigar lighter. So you would reach in, you would light that, it would burn. You take your cigar, light it up, put this
Put it
down.
right back in there.
You'd be a happy camper. Give yourself a bourbon or something, and you're ready to go. Just, really neat piece. If you have like a bar or entertainment room, look great on it. Very rare to have the original glass, obviously. This would be broken very often. Just a great, great piece.
Super rare. And it even says on the top, I don't really want to flip it forward, obviously, because of the glass out on top, but it says Smoke, G-O-W Child Cigar. So, it's got that advertising charm to it as well. And I just think it's amazing that this is circa 1877 and the glass on top of it is still in shape.
You don't really ever see that.
No, never. So that one is lot 293. And next, we are moving to lot 299, which is an Eagle Nutcracker.
Greg had a lot of strange things. Take your little nut, crack it.
Yes. You crack it, his mouth would come, obviously, up and down like that. It's kind of, not only is it a nutcracker, but I find that it's really like a mantelpiece. It's a piece of art as well.
It's sculptural, very sculptural.
I love it. It's sculptural, yes.
Number of nutcrackers, match safes, all kinds of things. Greg, very eclectic. If you look at the catalog online, you'll sort of see the diversity that Greg collected.
Yeah, so this was, we believe this to be American, about 1880.
Yep.
So, and also, as I'm holding this, we
Special
had
tags
special
for Greg,
tags
too.
for Greg as well. That is Billy Grin on his tag for the Dr. Z provenance. So you can check those out. They're all the silver tags on Greg's items. And next we're moving to lot 315, which is a Skull and Crossbones padlock.
Decorative padlock, sort of exceptionally rare, just real unusual. Greg, again, he sort of liked anything unusual, things that you just don't normally see.
I mean, look at the detail on that. Even on
that,
the back of it. It's in such great condition.
And that was a padlock that you used to lock your, shed or front door or, whatever you were trying to lock up.
This is do not enter, off limits.
That's right. Danger behind that door, that's for sure. But there he has one of like a werewolf. I mean, there's some really neat ones.
Yeah, there's some really cool padlocks in the sale. There's a couple other nutcrackers. There's some boot scrapers. There's a mermaid boot scrape, which I thought was awesome as well.
A lot of boot scrapes, boot kicks, a lot of different things that we normally don't carry.
Yes, all kinds of neat things. So,
hand presses, so like where they would emboss, like for notaries and things like that.
Oh yes, there is an Eagle hand press if you're an Eagle collector, or if you like anything Eagle oriented, like the Eagle Nutcracker. The Eagle press is awesome as well.
It is.
Next, lot 384, we have the Circus Menagerie by Kaiser and Rex.
I love this toy. Now, this comes in two versions.
I'm gonna need 2 hands for this one.
Yeah, you need 2 hands. That's a circus cage wagon, made by Kaiser and Rex. Now, usually when you think of circus cages, you think of Hubley and the Royal Circus or Kennan and the Overland Circus. But Kaiser and Rex also made this series. To me, it's one of the most desirable and elaborate of all the cages. Because look at all the little guys you have in there.
It is. I know. There's a kangaroo in there. There's
Bear,
a
lion.
a lioness and her 4 cubs. So
You think they'd all get along? I don't know. I like the driver in front. Great condition, all original. Does come in 2 versions. So there is a version where it's mechanized, where this actual bear will actually turn. This isn't that version. Does have a bell and back that could ring. but just, you know, one of my favorite horse-drawn toys.
And for those of you that don't know, I know we mentioned Kaiser and Rex before, but they're out of Philadelphia.
Yep.
And this one was circa about 1890.
Great toy.
Yes, yes.
Mm.
So that was our Circus.
All
Now,
right, what are we moving on to now?
okay, we're actually moving on to something right behind us. So this right here, I actually might be able to grab it right. Let me see if I can. Is lot 395, and it is an optometrist sign.
How do you like that?
And you would actually mount it. It's meant to stick out from a wall, so you'd kind of mount it sideways like that.
Well, so we, hey, look at those glasses. What kind of snapped filter is that?
I'm not sure.
Everyone looks red, everyone looks blue. In between, I can't quite see you.
Yeah, it's really neat though. When it's made of copper and glass out of the 1920s.
Yeah, so, you know, like when you're walking down Main Street, this would basically sit on a wall, and you'd say, hey, I need a pair of glasses. I can see it down a block away. And that's what it was used for. So advertising.
Yes, advertising. And then along those same lines, I'm not going to be as brave and pull the next one down, but
Which one's that?
the pretzel.
Oh, back there, yes.
So right above this, we actually have the giant pretzel with the crown. And you can't quite see the crown on top of it right there, but it is lot 410. And it's really, really neat. It was something that Dr. Z had bought from, once again, a name that comes around a lot, Don O'Markey. And it was from a local pretzel factory.
In Lidditz, PA,
Yes.
which is known for pretzels.
Yeah, so once again, just a great piece of advertising, and I love the provenance on it, and, you know, Dr. Z just really cherished it because it was a piece, like I said, that he had gotten
You
from
see,
him.
there's a pretzel. What you can't quite see in the shot is there's a crown
Yes.
above it.
Let me see here.
So
I'll show you.
it's the Pretzel King. So it's the Pretzel King of Lidditz.
The Pretzel King. Hold on, I'm going to pull it up for you, since I have my trusty catalog right in front of me. For those of you that can't see it. So it didn't fit in our shot this evening, but this is the crown we're talking about right here. And also, while I have this page open, big fan of this Havana Cigar advertising sign as well, lot 408. It's pretty big and heavy, so not able to lift it up and show it to you guys either, but it was circa 1920, and it actually has glass spelled out on top of it. The cigar itself is made of wood, but where it says Havana Cigars, it's spelled out with glass. So
Yeah, pretty cool piece.
really cool. And while we're on that,
Yeah.
the last...
How are your teeth feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good right
All
now.
right, you sure you don't need a dentist?
Well, you never know.
Because if you did,
Now-
again, walking down the street, oh, it's a heavy one.
Be careful.
That's a tooth. How do you like that, baby? Again, another trade sign. That sucker weighs like 15, 20 pounds. You can see the hook on top. So this would hang, again, walking down Main Street, and you're like, my tooth's aching, Bree. I need to get it pulled. And you look down the street, and it's like, hey, there's a dentist. So really cool. Again, another piece of
I
advertising.
absolutely love this.
It would
I
hang,
think it's so cool.
Has like a piece of zinc on top to,
Yeah.
to protect it from the weather.
Yeah, so that's,
Yeah, it's a
you can
heavy
see
one.
that zinc, so the water wouldn't sit on top of the wood when they had it hanging up. But it's lot 410 in the auction, and very cool. So that's our dentist trade sign.
Sign.
Be careful.
Put it on the floor.
Okay, be careful. All right, and now we are moving back to some toys.
Where are we at now?
So we are on lot 363, the four-wheeled articulated horse.
One of the greatest pieces of American cast iron ever made. Just, you know, that's folk art that was mass produced. So it sort of transcends folk art and toys. This we call a horse on four wheels, horse on elevated platform, a walking horse on elevated platform. They also made it on three wheels, which actually is probably a little rare, and Greg actually has a three-wheel version. But personally, I think this is one of the nicest forms. You don't have to collect toys. You know, if you're into horse or that sort of look in your house, this really epitomizes sort of 1870s, 1880s, just in the casting
beautiful.
and everything about it. If you show them the base, all these will sort of have decorated bases.
Yep, so
And
you
this
can see
one's
right there,
exceptionally fine, and that's what you really look for on this toy.
There's that red swirl, and there's even a finer gold swirl right in there. And
you pull
it's
it along.
it's a mantelpiece. It's beautiful.
You pull it along, and he actually walks. So he sort of walks. A great kid's toy. Greg kept this very prominently positioned in his house. You know, sort of not with his toys. So he actually sort of had it under a couple lamps, and it's one of those things that you can just sort of put on the mantle or on like a little cupboard, corner cabinet, anything like that, and just really, you know, looks period, has that very elegant sort of subtle lines that you really are looking for things from the turn of the century.
It does, and I think that it's a piece that you know, appeals to a lot of different collectors for a lot of reasons, and it's just a really special piece.
Yep.
That one is lot 363. And next we're moving on to lot 792, a dog smoking cigar.
And it sort of goes with the other one there.
Yes, it goes with this as well. And we also have another one. So this one is an ashtray, but this one is actually a bank that was made by Hubley. So very similar.
Now the ashtray one we've seen, it's basically the same dog. But if you turn around the bank and show everyone the slot, never seen it as a bank. You know, it was definitely made as a bank. That slot was not cut in, it was cast into it. Sort of based on all those Hubley toys they made, like Puppo with pillow, a lot of different versions like that. But extremely rare for a still bank, probably made in the 1920s, maybe 1930s even.
Look how cute they look
But again,
together.
you know, sort of that Tobacco Annie category. If you like cigars, if you like tobacco, really a great addition to any collection.
Yeah, so we're saying, you know, these were from the 20s, 30s, and this one, the bank is lot 792, but the cigar smoking dog ashtray is lot 277. So if you're looking for them in the sale, they're just adorable.
That's for sure.
Those are our puppy dogs
Little dogs.
for this evening. Next, also Greg has quite, a bit of these match safes. I really think that they're amazing pieces. Not only are they, I mean, they have detail as well, but you know, they're all intact. You would store your matches in there, obviously.
Store your matches.
This one's a beetle, or it's up for debate. We're saying that it might be.
Well, it's a scarab. It looks like a
scarab.
It's also known as a dung beetle.
Or a dung beetle, which I learned today.
You never heard that term. And then this is a fly. I don't really know why they would use, well, the scarab is a classic design, sort of going back to Tiffany and the whole Moorish movement. And, you know, anything Egyptian, they would use the scarab very often. The fly, I don't really know why, but there are a lot of flies. This one has advertising out of St. Louis.
St. Louis, Missouri.
Beautiful condition. And again,
It is.
they would keep these on the bar. That's where they'd have matches in there. So when you come in and have a drink, you'd open it up, take a match. Like on the scarab here, you'd actually scrape it across here, and that's what would cause it to light. On the fly, I believe you would scrape it the lighter, right on the back here. It's rough. So, you know, these were like, what were they called? You probably don't even remember, but they were like blue tip matches.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you'd scrape it right there, fire it up, light your cigar or your cigarette, and settle down, a nice drink.
Love the match safes. I also think, you know, the way Greg had them displayed in his home was awesome. They were underneath, there was a wagon with a glass top, and all of the match safes were, and a lot of the
locks,
padlocks,
yeah, things like that,
were displayed underneath the glass top. So, you know, I think that it's a great centerpiece for any room, really. You could have a living room, a family room, anything like that, or even a desk. You could have a desk with a glass top with all kinds of neat antique padlocks and match safes underneath it.
Exactly.
So those were the match safes we have. There's many more in the catalog, so definitely take a look. And next, we're moving on to lot 438, the Banjo Player.
Now again, I think we've shown this toy before, not this exact one. Made by Jerome Secor out of Connecticut. He was a master toy maker. Some of his toys are the most desirable of all toys ever made. He made this whole series of musicians. So this is called the Banjo Player. He made a bones player, like a spoons player, a tambourine player, and then Sister Lucinda,
yes,
which was a woman version with a fan. And then the ultimate toy is the Freedman's Bank. There was also a piano player. He made a couple other toys, but not a whole huge range. But he brought them to Paris. They won awards in Paris. You know, just sort of the ultimate toy of that time. Very expensive. This toy back then was almost $5,
wow.
which would be like buying like a $300 toy today. So, you know, not totally out of the realm, but you had to have a very nice child to buy that for them.
It's a great toy. It's another one that could be the centerpiece of a collection.
Oh, yes. You know, really wonderful, beautiful, beautiful example. One of the nicest examples I've ever seen of the Banjo Player. Works terrifically. If you like musicians or banjo playing, just really, really a world-class piece there.
It is, and I think his little blue bow tie is a nice touch.
Where's my blue bow tie? Let's see. Let me give him a little line here. Let's see.
As he's tapping his foot there to the beat.
He plays the banjo. I mean, you know, when you think of the mechanics in there, how to get that to work, really, really wonderful.
He's moving his hand. I mean, the mechanism inside is just awesome.
Yeah, great toys. So that should do very well.
As he
tapping his tune.
Yeah, so that's our Banjo Player. You might hear him in the background for a little bit. Just a little bit. He's a little fired up. And then next we have lot 370, the Monkey and Chariot Bell toy.
Beautiful bell toy here. So again, just great condition on this toy. Made by Kaiser and Rex, again, out of Philadelphia. The whole series of bell toys. You know, these are just pool toys with a bell on it. You pull them along, and the monkey's holding two little coconuts. There's a huge fascination with Darwinism at the time. They loved the idea that, you know, man came from monkeys. Sort of very revolutionary, very controversial. But, you know, it sort of, that whole debate was made into a toy. And ultimately, parents bought those toys for their children because that's what they believed, that, you know, there was evolution. And, you know, it's something that, you know, children in the late turn of the century, they grew up with. And it's like, look at that monkey with his little coconuts.
And it even has the patent on the front. It says patent October 28th, 1880. And if you couldn't see in the light when I was shining it back and forth, the patina on him, I mean, the colors are vibrant. The blue, the yellow, the red hat.
Yeah, one of the finest examples of that toy I've ever seen.
It's a great one.
Yep.
So that's lot 370, Monkey and Chariot Bell toy.
Okay, we're moving right along.
Well, this is a great one too.
All right, so yeah, so really we're selling a lot of Greg's cast iron, and in this sale in particular, his still banks. We will be selling his mechanicals later in the year, but you know, we're going to be doing all of his still banks and his probably top still bank and one of the top still banks in the whole world.
Yes, this is the Circuit Rider. It is lot 738, and it is once again a beautiful, beautiful example of this. It is a semi-mechanical bank.
Yep. So it's a rocking bank, and interesting, you know, there are 3 of these known. We're lucky enough this is the second one that RSL has sold. The first one we sold was part of the Andy and Susan Moore collection. And it was one of the last banks that Andy kept. His wife actually ended up keeping it after his death, and they sold the whole collection. She kept a handful of banks. We sold that collection about 5 years ago. And just sort of going way back, I remember being at a convention with my father, and Andy Moore walked into the room, and he's like, "You want to see something really neat?" And he opened up this box, and in the box, there was the Circuit Rider in there, the one that we sold 5 years ago. And ever since then, I'm like, boy, that is one of the best banks I've ever seen. Rocking horse. It's really one of the few rocking banks out there. There's the Oriental Camel, and then the club made of sort of a rocking horse, sort of mimicked after this a little bit. But the Circuit Rider was basically, he could either be a salesman or a preacher, but they would have a circuit. So sort of like a salesman today. You know, he would work, you know, Western New Jersey or, you know, Southern Pennsylvania. You know, they'd have a circuit they would ride, and this was him, and he would go around and try to sell his wares to all those people. But just really a beautiful casting, one of the ultimate still banks.
It is, and I think that it's a very relatable toy. I mean, who hasn't seen or had or owned some form of a rocking
toy?
or horse.
So, you know, for my money, probably the most desirable of all still banks. They're a really nice example.
Very, very nice. So that one is lot, once again, 738, the Circuit Rider. And next, we're moving on to lot 794, Billy Possum.
Billy Possum, again, another one of those iconic still banks. Possum and Taters, it's a political bank. Really goes back to one of the early campaigns. Just very, very rare. They did make the possum, so you'll see the possum, but what makes it very rare is being on a base. There's like little corn cobs, I believe, on top of there.
The little corn cobs right there.
And, you know, one of the ultimate banks.
And it says Possum and Taters on the side as well.
Possum and Taters.
Possum and Taters. So that one is lot 794, made by Harper. He's actually from Chicago, Illinois.
Exactly.
This possum. Okay, next we are moving on to lot 981, which is the large Boston State
Large Boston
house,
State.
made by Smith and Egg.
Smith and Egg. Okay, that looks like if you're from Boston, that's what the Boston State House looks like. They made two banks, or two versions of this bank, the large one and the small. This is the large. It's probably slightly rarer than the small. Very, very difficult, very desirable bank. Beautiful example.
It is. It's beautiful.
you know-
All the windows, all the gold. You can see it shining when I'm moving it right there. All that gold and the green and the red.
You know, one of the ultimate banks. So, you know, it a great addition. Greg had a beautiful sampling of painted buildings. This is one of the highlights.
And also, just a side note, it does have its original trap as
Yeah,
well.
that's
So
very
it has
important.
a unique rectangular trap there in the bottom left corner.
Very important for those.
So that one, once again, is lot 981. And next, we're moving on to a real showstopper, we're going to call it. This is lot 1031, the Old Quebec Bank.
Old Quebec. Very rare bank. We've only sold one before. And actually, if you show them on the back there, you can see where it got its name from.
I'll show them. So here's the front here.
It's just one of those unusual banks that, for some reason, you don't see it very often, called Old Quebec. When you do, it almost never has this additional ladder going up to the chimney. Just sort of, again, something that, you know, you can collect for 50 years and never have a chance to buy this bank. I think it's only the second one we've ever sold. We had one in the Brian Eyre collection. It was, I believe, the only other one.
Very rare.
Great bank to own. Just nice casting, nice detailing. If you like those architectural banks, just a great thing.
It is. And I like the ladder coming up to the chimney here, too. And the coin slot up top.
Original trap, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes, yes. So, and you are not going to believe it. This is our last one for Dr. Z right now, but it's 737.
You got a duck?
I love this. This
What's
is
that?
A duck sprinkler. Oh, it's little tags in front of his face.
Because look how cute
This is a shining moment.
Nancy would love that. My wife would love little duck.
This is from the 1920s.
But this is a lawn sprinkler. So again, just sort of shows you, you know, now you get those lawn sprinklers that are made in Asia.
And this is heavy.
You know,
I'm
they
gonna
weigh
do
like
another
3 ounces.
pound.
But that, you put that in your yard, you hook it up to your hose, and then it would actually spin and water your yard. You can look and you have your little duck out there. Original surface. That's why this is so exceptional. Because, you know, again, there was water. I mean, these would rust in a year or two. So this one obviously probably was never really used, was just sort of kept as an ornament. This sort of gives you an example of the crazy things in Greg's collection.
Awesome.
Yeah, really nice.
I love it.
Yep.
Love it. I
do
love
too.
it. I love
I do
everything.
too.
But also, just a side note, a big thank you to Dr. Z and Bernadette for welcoming us into their home with open arms and taking the time to sit down and talk toys and banks with us. Very exciting news. This Saturday, so really when we're taking a break mid-auction, at noon we're going to be releasing an exclusive interview with Dr. Z, very similar to the Tom Sage interview we did, except it'll feature Dr. Z's collection, and that'll be on our YouTube channel, Ray and Bree Live. You could subscribe there to get notifications. It's on our new series Adventures with Ray and Bree, and yeah, so to bid on the Dr. Z collection, or for more information, you can visit RSLAuctionCo.com as well. And with that being said, we'll be back in 5 minutes for...
Part 2 is done?
Yeah.
On to part 3.
For part 3, which is an exceptional European and American toy collection. So we hope you're all back with us in approximately 5 minutes as we get on to it. So,
let's move.
Thank you.
Time to move. Change.